Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm here with some more card making and stamping ideas for you today. I am back to working with this Changing Leaves die set and stamp and the hybrid embossing folder. And so I've already used this really cool die that punches out 3 leaf shapes. I've got 2 different colors here. I've punched it out in the basic beige and in Calypso Coral. And I've selected for my card base, it's just very vanilla, so it's very neutral, very boring right now, but we're gonna spice it up. So I'm gonna work with these neutral colors. I really even like the way the beige looks against the very vanilla. But I'm going to work with just 2 colors today. I have picked out Crushed Curry and the Calypso Coral, which does go with the paper I've already punched. So my thought was to stamp. Basically, I'm going to make my own designer series paper. I'm going to do something with 2 of the leaf punches and then use these die cuts and make a card. So let me flip the camera down and lower it here to my work area so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to open my 2 ink pads, and I think I'm going to use one leaf per color, basically. So I've picked the triple leaf, and I'm going to do that in Crushed Curry. I'm going to stamp this a couple times on my paper, and I'm just randomly going to do this because I'm going to end up covering a lot of this up. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'll do it opposite sides. And then I'm going to fill in with what I consider to be a really pretty maple leaf. And I'm going to do that in my Calypso Coral so it'll match my other die cut here. So let's do that, let's do that, and let's do something down in this corner. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, just random leaves on a piece of paper. I could come back with this Crushed Curry and put just a little bit of a leaf there. I just feel like that edge is going to be exposed, so I'm going to, fill that space with a little bit more stamp. That's all it is. So now this will get adhered to the front. I did make that panel just a little smaller, so it's 4 by 5 1/4, whereas the whole card is 4 1/4. It's the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now what I want to do is put some color on this as well. And so my thinking was I'm going to use my dauber here, my sponge dauber, and just put some color. This tree is turning color, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of this color on there. And maybe if I put it down, it'll be easier to stamp and easier for you to see. And I'm going to double up on colors, but right now I'm going to put a little color on the edges here too. I'm going to make this kind of pop off when I adhere it to the card base. So I'm just adding a little bit of color. It's still pretty neutral. I could even do some dots on there. See what I'm doing here? No rhyme or reason. So now I'm going to take just a little bit of this Calypso. Oh yes. Calypso Coral and give it a little more color on the edges, very lightly, just to get, like I say, it's fall, it's changing leaves, it's changing color. Okay, I'm also going to stamp while I'm stamping here. I did punch out, I used the sentiment shape from the Changing Leaves, and I punched this out in Crushed Curry. So you see my 2 colors are still all that I'm using here. I am going to stamp the sentiment, and I pulled it off of this Changing Leaves, A Little Note to Brighten Your Day. So now I'm going to ink in Calypso Coral and stamp right on the Crushed Curry. Just like that. 1, 2, 3. And now I think what I'm going to do is on the inside of the card, I'm going to put another, not the whole leaf. I'll ink this as if I'm using the whole leaf, but I'm just going to get, a part of the leaf like that. I'm going to clean up the ink that was overlapping there before I get it everywhere. You know how that goes. Okay, I'm ready to start assembly. I am going to put my leaf on here. I could make it look like the leaf is falling. Oh, there's so many choices. like this, like that, maybe like that. And then I'm going to run my sentiment across this way. And I'll get to the rest of that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to start assembling, and I do want to use my Stampin' Seal just because I've got it right here. And go ahead and put this base on. Okay. And now it will pop because I put color on the edge. Sometimes I really like the tone on tone, and this still has that tone on tone feel. I've just made it pop a little bit because of the color that I added. And I'm going to use my seal with this embossing texture. I like to make sure it's going to stick real good. I will go back and add a little bit of liquid glue as well down the stem to make sure that that is going to stay stuck on the card too. So I'm just going to put, if I can, get this to flow. The dots are a thin bead. Here we go. And maybe a couple of these leaf tips, just to make sure they stay stuck down. Sometimes those things like to pop up a little bit. Okay, so now if I can be careful and not get glue all over my fingers, I'm going to put this on the card. And I don't care that it's covering up the leaves. I mean, you get the idea as to what it is. I'm now going to pull out some dimensionals because I do want to pop this leaf up off the card and give it some height. So let us put dimensionals, the base here. I'm not going to worry about the stem. I think it's going to be fine. If it goes a little flat, that's okay. And then pull the backing off. Here we go. Come on. Sometimes they just don't want to pop off. There we go. You have to flick it. And when all else fails, a little punch with your fingernail or thumbnail, and then they pop right off. Okay. So I was going to put this, I was going to go that way. I guess I still can. And then I think I'll need dimensionals on this as well. Since I've got that popped off, I will put dimensionals going across my sentiment. Now this leaf's going to help keep it supported too, which is a good thing. And I'm just going to use my thumbnail. Quick and easy. Get rid of those pieces. And now maybe I'll go on an angle here. I hadn't really pre-planned how I was going to do this, but yeah, I'm kind of liking the thought of doing that at an angle. I did pull out the Baker's Twine. This 3-color pack is in the current catalog, and I thought it's really close to Calypso Coral. I'm not even sure. I didn't look it up to see what color it was, but I thought it coordinates with my colors here. So I was just going to tie a very simple little bow, and you can see it's not big and bulky. It makes a very petite little bow. And then maybe I'll put it up there. I had thought it was about putting it with the sentiment, but I'm kind of liking the idea of putting it up on the leaf. I'm just making this up as I go. And as we all know, you know, when you start, sometimes you have an idea in your head and it changes and it morphs as you're working along. So yeah, I like how that kind of calls out the second color. Okay, so because it's just basically a thinking of you card, I'm not going to stamp on the inside. What I am going to do is add a little Wink of Stella. I'm putting it on some of the veins here and some of the texture on this leaf, that big maple leaf, and then I'm going to do the same thing here just to give, if somebody holds this up, they're going to go, oh, look at that, it's got sparkle. Okay, so there you have it. I have, in a matter of just several minutes, because I did the punching beforehand, I've made my own designer series paper. So there's leaves in the background. I've given this a fall look. I've added this maple leaf, and I've just made a thinking of you card and left it blank on the inside so that I can write a sentiment in there. So that's my card tip for today. If you like the products or the projects you see here, you can find me either at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. And because I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you can find me on the Stampin' Up! Website. Thanks for joining me today. Tune in for the next video.